Good morning. This is Real Time. I am Winifred Efum. Water bodies serve as source of means of livelihood for millions of fishermen and women in Ghana. However, the sustainability of the water bodies is under threat due to activities such as illegal mining. As Ghana joins the international community to mark World Fish Migration Day, our Upper West regional correspondent Sualah Abdul-Wahab engages key actors in the water and fisheries sector on the relevance in protecting water bodies. Good morning, Sualah.
Good afternoon, Winnie, and thanks for having me.
Hello, Sualah. Thank you for joining us. What do you have for us this morning?
Yes, so Winnie, I'm sure you had your breakfast this morning, which might have contained some fish. So you ask yourself, where does the fish come from? The fish we know come from water, which is mostly either the river bodies or ponds. But you are aware of what is happening regarding the pollution of our water bodies in Ghana. Upper West region is not an exception. And one of the biggest water bodies in the Upper West region here is the Black Volta. We know there are some activities of fishing along the Black Volta, but how has that impacted on the management of the Black Volta? That is why we are at the offices of the Water Resources Commission to engage the head of the Black Volta Basin on the status of the Black Volta, which passes through many of the districts and municipalities in the Upper West region here. Mr. Joaquin, can you join us here? Just be there. Thanks for your time on GBC News.
Thank you. Very good afternoon to your listeners and viewers.
Yes, so tell us, what is the significance of Black Volta to the country?
Yes, Black Volta is one of the major tributaries of the main Volta river system. It accommodates close to 2.8 million people just in Ghana. And this is a river that also supplies water to one of the major hydropower plants in the country, that is the Bui hydropower, that supplies energy to Ghana. Downstream, the same Black Volta supplies water to Akusumbo, and in terms of flow, it is second in terms of the contribution to the Volta river system, apart from Oti. This is also a river that there's a lot of dependence with regards to irrigation activities, with regards to fishing, and with regards to any other industrial activity within the basin. So it is a key resource for Ghana.
So what role specifically does it play when it comes to offering livelihoods to the fisherfolk?
So in terms of livelihood, in terms of fisherfolk, the Black Volta River is home to major fishing activities. All the way from Nandom, where the Black Volta enters Ghana, all the way down to Mpaha, where the black and the white joins. There's a lot of fishing activity going on there. In addition to that, we also have, like I said, the major reservoirs. We have fishing ongoing there. And this is a major livelihood activity for a huge chunk of the population within the basin. That is critical for the people that depend on it.
So what is threatening the sustainability of the Black Volta?
The Black Volta, like any other resource, water resource within the country, is threatened by so many factors. Critical among them is the kind of anthropogenic activities that we undertake within or along the banks of the river. The farming activities, it is a key harm that we do. Farming very close to it, we end up silting it up, reducing the volume that it can carry. And then eventually the same water will flood our homes, will flood our farms. We also have issues of mining, that we use all kinds of chemicals, all kinds of waste to get the gold. and those chemicals will end themselves into the same river. And then it kills our fishes that major livelihood activities are dependent on. It also will reduce the kind of dependence that we have on the resource. And that is a major challenge. We also have issues with regards to transboundary resource allocation, because we know the Black Volta is a transboundary river source. So we have it from Burkina Faso, and then we also have a part of it that is in Cote d'Ivoire. So what happens is that we want more because we are downstream. Burkina Faso wants the water. Cote d'Ivoire wants the water. So there is also a challenge with regards to how this resource can be managed so that the countries that are benefiting from it share it equally, or share it in a manner that we don't have conflicts.
The Black Volta is very big, and yet you are asking fishermen during a certain period of the year to not to be harvesting fish, particularly the pregnant ones, in relation to the International World Fish Migration Day.
Yes, it is very important. Why? Because fish migrate for a purpose. So if you don't allow that purpose to be fulfilled, they migrate to hatch. So if you catch the fish when it is pregnant, you will chop everything. So at the end, you would have chopped the fish with the eggs, nothing will come back. So you are reducing the population of what would have been made available if you had allowed it to go to hatch, and then they will come back in the quantity that you can harvest. So that is why we say that it is very important to allow this period within the Black Volta for the fishes to go perform that duty that is mandatory, and then when they are coming back, they come back in good numbers that you can harvest. So it is very important. It is a purpose that will allow them to increase in numbers, to increase the fish population. It's also a way of, allowing the water resources rejuvenate, the fishes to increase for everybody to have fish.
So if they don't harvest the fish, what becomes of their livelihood?
Yes, so that is why there are interventions that we try to do with the communities, especially those who depend on this fish for their livelihoods, so that periods that are not allowed, or we say allow the fishes to cross, to migrate, to undertake this like a mass activity, then they go into those kinds of activities, such that once the fishes are done with their period of incubation, then they can begin to harvest. So yes, there are activities that we undertake with them to be able to allow the fish to go to do that. Example is beekeeping, which we have been able to introduce to some of the communities along the banks of the river. We have it in Tabiari, we have it in some other communities along.
So what do you tell those who pollute the Black Volta?
Yes, what we will say is that once you pollute the Black Volta, don't think that you are polluting the river and that you are safe. You will chop the same fish that has been polluted from the Black Volta, either in Tamale from your kinky shop, or in Kumasi from your kinky shop, or even in Accra, you will chop it. So we will all chop the same polluted fish from the river. Thank you.
So you've been listening to Dr. Joaquin Ayue Abungba. He is the head of the Black Volta Basin in the Upper West region here. He is telling all those who pollute the Black Volta that even if they themselves do not consume the fish from the river, their relatives will end up doing so. But the body that manages fisheries affairs in the Upper West region is the Fisheries Commission. We have the acting regional director, Madam Sarah Bame, to tell us more about the fishery situation. So thanks for your time, Madam, on GTV News.
Thank you, Mr. Sualah, for such an opportunity.
Yeah, so briefly, what do you see as some of the challenges confronting the fisheries sector in the Upper West here regarding fish harvesting and other activities?
Some of the major challenges that we face in the region are compliance issues with fisher folks. Mostly, we have a fisheries act which has established the institution, and we have regulations that enable us carry out our mandate effectively. But some of the fishermen have challenges complying with these regulations, and that normally brings sometimes conflicts between us. Some of the challenges, areas of conflict are the type of fishing methods they employ in harvesting their fishes, which are some deliberately use obnoxious chemicals, which is against the laws of Fisheries Commission. The prohibited fishing methods are the use of chemicals, using of lights to aggravate the fish that renders them easily caught. But some people go at night and use lights in fishing on our high seas here, which happens to be the Black Volta Basin, and that is not helpful. Another challenge has to do with the harvesting, the type of fishing gears they use, which also targets juveniles. As part of our mandate, our major function is to ensure that the fisheries resources are well protected, conserved for the effective utilization of Ghanaians.
Okay, so what are some of the sanctions for those who use inappropriate methods for fishing?
Some of the sanctions that they may face is you can be fined for from 25 to 500 to 150 penalty units, and some can go as high as 500 penalty units. But I think those ones are not deterring enough, and that is why people still want to engage in them.
So what do you
can
propose?
Also,
yes.
You can also be sentenced to a prison term of 12 months. We actually do not want to be going into conflict with our fisher folks because one, it is their source of livelihood, but they also provide fish protein to the consumers, which refers to the people of Upper West and then beyond. So normally we don't want to engage in conflict. So we encourage them to comply with the fisheries regulation. They should use the appropriate fishing gears and fishing methods, and we wouldn't have issues with them. Okay. Some of the most destructive fishing gears they use, methods, or also like I stated on the type of fishing gear, some use monofilament fishing gears, which is an example is the gill net. And then they do not target specific species, so they end up destroying a lot of juvenile species.
Okay, so we want to wrap up. You've been listening to Madam Sarah Bamie. He is the acting regional director of the Fisheries Commission, Upper West Region. She is saying that fishermen and women who use inappropriate methods for fishing must desist from that. Otherwise, the law will soon catch up with them. And earlier on, you listened to the head of the Black Volta Basin, Mr. Joaquin Ayue Abungba, who also says that fishermen folks should try and abide by the off-fishing season so that fishes can go and hatch and come back for them to continue. Winnie, back to you in Accra.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sualah, for that update on the sustainability of our water bodies. We'll now take you to